Good afternoon on a rainy Monday. Welcome to STARCAST from Planet Waves. My name is Eric Francis Coppolino, counseling astrologer, author of the Planet Waves horoscope et al. Here with a short update just to give you a little tune-in to what is brewing in the planets at the moment. The unusual feeling in the air. Now, I know there's always an unusual feeling, and it's always like there's always the sense of like tension that builds that never releases in these years, in these decades of history. Is the Sun opposing Neptune? So the Sun is at 25:39. Neptune is at 26:17. They're less than a degree apart in opposition. That happens once a year, usually right around this time, and it gets a little bit later every year, so it just sort of creeps back in the year. This has the sense of a sublime full moon, and the relationship is that the full moon is the moon opposite the Sun with the Earth in the middle, and Sun opposite Neptune is the Sun opposing Neptune with the Earth in the middle. So this can feel very lunar. It can feel intuitive, and it can feel like there is a kind of Neptune often has that bubble-like feeling. So that's happening. And then as that begins to separate, the Sun is then moving into a trine to Pluto in Capricorn. Earth to Earth, that's a trine in this case, and so it's similar, and really all part of the same thing. Pluto and Neptune are moving along throughout the many decades in a 60-degree aspect. So generally, in our time, when planet makes an aspect to one, it makes an aspect to the other. So in this case, it's this kind of sublime, invisible full moon of Sun opposite Neptune, followed by Sun trine Pluto. Now, I always check my New York Post horoscope, and the New York Post, by the way, has some fun, not very deep, but definitely fun, and not too bad in terms of the general accuracy astrology section. Everybody's got a horoscope, but the Post actually publishes astrology articles, and they're not, again, this is not the Mountain Astrologer, it's not Planet Waves, but personally, I think it's fun to open up a newspaper's website and see something written about celebrity horoscopes and the meaning of the planets. It's pretty cool. And again, I would give it, definitely for what it is. I will read it and pick up some ideas from it. Let's put it that way. So anyway, that's the Post. So I check the horoscope in the Post every day. New York Post, nypost.com by Sally Brompton, an old acquaintance of mine who took over for Patrick Walker in 1995, and I think she writes a fabulous horoscope. And so I was curious I read it every day, but I checked today, and she, for Pisces, was talking about the power of persuasion and why this is better than the power of coercion. And she basically said, if you've got a viewpoint, now is a good time to persuade people of that viewpoint. And there was no, warning that, you don't know what you're talking about. There was no caution about being delusional. So that's not in the equation. She would say something if so. So that's how she interpreted that. I thought that was interesting. And that's a good read on Sun opposite Neptune, followed by Sun trine Pluto. All right. And I think that could also apply generally. All right, so that takes care of the Sun and its aspects, but notably the Sun enters Libra at 2:50 in the morning Eastern Time on Saturday, so it's therefore going to change signs, and the equinox will happen overnight, Friday to Saturday, 22nd to 23rd, and that implies that the Sun right now is moving through the last degrees of its sign. About 30 days per sign, and the last few are always interesting in that there's this extra sense of transition and of movement, and that's even further accentuated by the sun being at the end of a mutable sign, and the mutable variable energy, that's what mutable means, it can switch back and forth between cardinal and fixed, and it's more subject to change, gives way. The seasons always begin when a mutable sign gives way and dissolves and disseminates into a cardinal sign. That would be Libra. So I'll talk about that in Thursday's edition. But now you know that it's happening. The Venus-Jupiter square is separating. That's been building for a while. Venus still slow and powerful after its retrograde in Leo. So that exact square was a couple of days ago. The moon passed right through that, and that was a sense of exaggeration and of kind of an inclination to personal drama that, frankly, we don't need. Now, of note, Venus in Leo is making an aspect to Nessus in Pisces. Nessus is a centaur planet associated with healing. It has more distinctly sexual themes than other centaurs because it's encrypted in the mythology, and Nessus is a kind of a container of and healing elixir of many of the problems that we face, which include things like jealousy and betrayal and all of these hazy gray areas where sexuality is concerned. So it's apropos that Venus is in this aspect of adaptation. 150, called a quincunx, used to not be considered an aspect at all. But astrologers notice that, no, there really is a dialogue at 150 degrees between two planets, and there it is. And so there's something here about not being too driven by pride on the quest for healing any deep material that you may have to resolve. And Nessus almost always points to some form of sexual betrayal. And most people carry around a lot of residue of sexual betrayal that they just don't know what to do with. And for all of our years and years of alleged, liberation of all this, and particularly, of which I've been commenting on, women's liberation, well, we still can't really have an honest, non-judgmental conversation hardly anywhere. When you find a place you really can have an honest, non-judgmental, open-minded conversation about any branch of sexuality and or sexual healing, remember that place and be grateful that you had that opportunity. But remember also that the real impetus for change, the tropism to growth, is a completely internal matter. I'm going to get to that in a few minutes when I do my Course in Miracles podcast, which I've been doing on Monday nights these days, about how healing is always an internal matter. It has to come from a source within you rather than somewhere outside of you. All right, let's go through a few quick moon changes leading in to the autumnal Libra equinox. The moon entered Scorpio at about 1 a.m. on Monday, Eastern time, and it's now at about just at 8 degrees of Scorpio. Then the next moon sign change is on Wednesday, the 20th, at 10:05 a.m. Eastern time, when the moon enters Sagittarius. And then the moon enters Capricorn Friday, the 22nd of September, at 4:20 p.m. Eastern time. Now remember, before the moon changes signs, things can be a little hazy. And that will especially be true of Friday before the moon enters Capricorn, because the moon will be making a conjunction to the galactic center. Not enough is said about the galactic center. And that has it has a kind of a Neptune-like feeling to it. And it's also a sublime kind of a beacon, a spiritual beacon. But it's right now, Neptune is sitting at 90 degrees to the galactic center. So it means when anything passes by the galactic center, it also passes by Neptune at 90 degrees, further fogging and confusing the matter. It is not easy to attain clarity, and really it's not necessarily the most important thing. I think more important than clarity is understanding false clarity, conclusions jumped to and clung to too quickly, for example, positions that are just seen and experienced as right and then held onto. Clarity is but Castaneda, he doesn't call it false clarity. To clarify clarity, I call it false clarity, and he listed as one of the four most dangerous things that humans face. So you could say thinking that you know when you don't, or said another way, clinging to the letter of the law rather than the spirit of the law, the letter of what someone says rather than the essence or the spirit of what they're getting at. Look, it's not that hard to figure out what someone is getting at. Even if they're having a hard time with their words or their footnotes, you can still get the essence of what they're saying without twisting anything around. All right, that's what I have to say to you for now. I'm about to I will upload this with its chart and pick out a picture so it's pretty, and then get to the Course in Miracles podcast, Journey Without Distance. And I am planning to be back with the monthly horoscope for the Libra equinox on Thursday. And I will be also doing soon after that the Libra reading, the Libra birthday reading. I'm going to send out the most recent Libra reading so you can see what that was about. For those of you listening remotely on some podcasting platform, Stitcher or Apple or something like that, this podcast originates at planetwaves.eu. That is a shortcut that'll take you to the Planet Waves Substack, where you can read and listen and see all kinds of things. Subscriptions are cheap, $12 a month for some of the best astrology out there. Again, planetwaves.eu will take you to the Planet Waves Substack. Also can be found at planetwaves.net. Reach out to me if you need. I do readings and have all kinds of really excellent astrology products. Just shoot me a note, Eric Francis, and you can reach me at efc@planetwaves.net. Thank you for joining me. I support you in staying as even-keeled and as compassionate and calm through these crazy times as we can be. Once again, thank you for joining me, and please stay in touch. Bye for now.